Some things I'm already there. Yeah.
Okay.
Mama, how was it today?
That's good. I'm going to call our meeting to order. Welcome, everyone. We have quorum, I believe, right? And we'll be beginning the Oklahoma City Arts Commission's June 13th, 2022 regularly scheduled meeting. Before the commission votes on each item, I will ask staff to provide details of each case. I will ask the applicant if anyone has anything to add, and any members of the public wish to speak. If you wish to address the Arts Commission, you will be recognized. You will go to the side podium one at a time and state your name and address for the record and begin your comments. Please limit those comments to no more than 3 minutes. Commissioners, please remember today that all motions, seconds, and votes are going to be made in PrimeGov, which means that you need to press the button to make a motion. Is everybody logged in? Yes. Yes, or getting there? Yes? Okay, great. Our next item on the agenda is item number 2, acceptance of the meeting minutes from the May 16th, 2022 regular meeting. I hope everyone has read through the minutes, and if there are no corrections to be brought to our attention, I will entertain a motion and a second.
So moved.
Moved by Steve Hill and seconded by Stefan Kovash. Commissioners, remember, if you were not present at the meeting, please abstain from voting. Does that still? Moved by Commissioner Hill and seconded by Commissioner Kovash. It should have 4 buttons on your screen. We may not have enough votes to pass this because of the abstentions. Oh, okay. We'll give it a few. We'll give a few minutes, and everybody can get logged in and vote on this item.
Will you hand me another packet, please?
I did. I was absent.
Thank you.
Who are we not showing logged in? Any other commissioners? Commissioner Sallier is not showing logged in yet. Item number 2 passes. Moving on to item 3. These are items for discussion and action. Item 3A, a history of suspended time, a monument for the impossible. Sculpture by Gonzala Labrija, a temporary installation for Oklahoma Contemporary at Campbell Park in Ward 6. Randy, can you present information on this item?
Yes, good afternoon, Commissioners, and thank you for being here today. And we think that all these PrimeGov things will soon be an artifact of the past. It'll just be second nature to you to come in, and everything will work properly in the future. So that's what we're looking forward to in the near future. We are, of course, familiar with Campbell Art Park, where Oklahoma Contemporary has exhibited some really thoughtful and fun installations over the last several years. They are back with another one that looks like it's going to be a real showstopper. On Broadway, A History of Suspended Time, a monument for the impossible by Gonzala Labrija. The red rectangle indicates the location for the installation, and this is the work as it was installed at the Marfa Contemporary. In addition to the Marfa, it's been in 4 other locations and now is coming from Oklahoma City, loaned from Mexico City's famed UMEX collection. Breve Historia del Tiempo 2020 is a 2,500-pound black 1968 Chevrolet Malibu, which is suspended vertically over a pool of water. The artwork is related to a performance, Entre la Vida la Muerte, which means between life and death, orchestrated by the artist outside Guadalajara in 2008. The work is valued at $280,000 and is approximately 16 feet tall in a pool of water 26 by 50, which would indicate that the pool is going to be a different size than the one that you're seeing in the illustration. Gonzalo Labrija has been working for some time on the aesthetic experience of the frozen instant. His work is in the poetical field of conceptual perspective, always as a witness of the passage of time, as the moment that elapses between life and death. Labrija was co-founder and co-director of the Oficina de Proyecto de Arte in Guadalajara. The artist has signed a VERA waiver. Oklahoma Contemporary will provide an art identification marker. And Steve Boyd of Oklahoma Contemporary is here to answer questions for you. And with that, we will take questions, comments, etc.
Commissioners? Hearing no questions or comments, someone can make a motion in PrimeGov. We have a motion by Commissioner Kovash and a second from Commissioner Chambers. You may now vote on the screen. I'm seeing a few blank looks. Does everybody have your 4 buttons? On the left hand, on your button, can you press computer and see if that changes your screen? Did it work? Okay, good. This motion passes. Moving on to item 3B. Thank you for presenting that piece and for being in attendance. Okay. Cannonball, a sculpture by Trevor O'Toole for the Zoo Administration Building at 2000 Remington Place in Ward 7. Randy, can you present this item?
This is the new administration building that is currently under construction at the zoo. The building is immediately to the west of the main zoo entrance, which most of us are familiar with, over a long period of time of use, and also directly east of the big dome there at the Science Museum of Oklahoma. And this is the architect's rendering of the building, which will be a LEED building, and the emphasis is on natural materials and naturalistic finishes inside and out. This is the lobby above which the suspended sculpture will be hanging. You can't really see the area from this rendering, but this gives you a better idea of that space. And you can see the birds in there, which the architects put in just as a placeholder for the piece that's actually going to be done. So before I show you Cannonball, I'll say that this was a completely unexpected piece that was presented to the selection committee and immediately put a smile on everybody's face. Rita was sitting in on that one. It was actually, since it's zoo, Jared Beatty was actually the municipal councilor, but he was out of town, and so Rita got to sit in and enjoy this particular selection process also. So this is the piece, and Trevor was very engaging in his presentation of the piece, and also he said that he started from the standpoint of the idea that the zoo is actually an upscale hotel for animals. And he said that when he was a child and would go on trips, to check into a hotel, and immediately the first thing he'd do is get on his swim trunks, run down to the pool, yell Cannonball, and jump into the pool. So here we see a rhinoceros doing exactly the same thing. So that is the majority of information about the piece. It is constructed of cast aluminum with a sheet metal background. The splashes will be made out of painted sheet metal. Trevor is an artist from Tucson, Arizona, and this is his first foray into Oklahoma, and he's really excited about doing this particular project. It all started with a call to artists on March 2nd. Depending on your recommendation, it'll go to the Zoo Trust. It doesn't go to council, but it goes to the Zoo Trust, and we anticipate installation the early part of 2023 after the building is complete. And with that, I will take any questions or comments from you.
Questions or comments from commissioners? Okay, we already have motions. Moved by Commissioner Cooper and seconded by Commissioner Smalling. Any further discussion?
I'll add that we do have a VERA waiver from Mr. O'Toole, and of course, he will go through all of the permitting process as necessary.
I did not see any additional staff recommendations other than a general recommendation on this piece, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Just a recommendation that it be referred to the
Zoo Trust.
Zoo Trust.
This item passes. Thank you, Randy. Okay, moving on to item 3C, an interim report from Chris Canale about the Plaza Walls, various locations in the Plaza District, Ward 6. Welcome back, Mr. Canale.
So Chris will give you the report.
For the record, can we have your name and address?
Yes, my name is Chris Canale, and address is 523 Northwest 31st Street. Thank you for having me. Hello, commissioners. Do I just go here? Okay, cool. Here we go. All right, so it's been a while since we've given an in-person report. I believe in 2021 it was over Zoom and a PDF that I just sent you guys. So we have some really exciting new things to show you. Looks like that's a little off.
Hopefully,
Oh,
apparently
Huh.
we've got a problem with the PDF.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Chris.
okay. So we'll wing it. It's okay. So as you may or may not know, Plaza Walls is ran by the Oklahoma Mural Syndicate, which is a nonprofit that we started to fund the project and manage the project. Our mission is to advocate for and create public art throughout the state of Oklahoma. Our first mural was in September 2015. Actually, that's Dylan there. Dylan's back there. He's also the co-founder of the project. So we've started the project in 2015, teamed up with Mason Realty Investors, and got our first pilot project and permit to execute the project in the Plaza District. Currently, we have about 35 mural locations, depending on kind of how you divide it all up. We also have a headquarters for the nonprofit and gift shop and art gallery for the Plaza Walls project. So it's really great to also have a place for people to experience the art and then come learn about how it was formed and support it through like postcards and prints. We have prints, postcards, and all types of merch based on all of the previous murals that have been painted in the district and current ones too. We've been able to team up with high school art classes. We love anything that we can collaborate with our community, especially inspiring any kids or youth organizations. So we love teaming up with them to do that. We also host tours for nonprofits. These are the Hearts for Hearing kids that came through and got a whole tour. And they also got to try their hands at spray paint on the walls and stuff. So that was a lot of fun. We also love to partner with our district businesses. We've teamed up just about with every business there to do some form of collaboration or sell a similar product or run some specials or something like that. So since 2015, we've painted over 200 murals in the Plaza district alone, and actually this year we're going to be adding about 80 murals total for the year, so that's pretty exciting. Given all of our programming throughout the year will total about 80 different murals. These are some of the murals that we've painted in the last 2 years, 2021, and the current murals that are up for 2022. As you can see, it's just a wide range of artists. Last year we had a lot of artists come in from out of state, and this year we actually have even more artists coming in from out of state. So that's a really cool thing to be bringing in national, international talent to Oklahoma. In fact, we had over 280 applicants from all over the world apply to paint at the Plaza Walls this year. And so that gives you an idea of how kind of popular we are in the mural industry, the mural scene throughout the entire nation. And with our other projects combined, we actually had over 400 artists applied just to paint in Oklahoma this year. So it's really cool. These are, again, some of the various styles that we've painted, artists have painted. What we love about the Plaza Walls is that it's become a place for everyone. People show up and they feel comfortable, they feel safe to express themselves with fashion, dance, music, artwork, all that type of stuff. So it's really a great place for people to express themselves, which is pretty awesome. So Plaza Walls has inspired a lot of other mural projects throughout the state, which our nonprofit has also spearheaded. So in 2017, we kicked off the Mural Fest 66 in Miami, Oklahoma. We actually just painted 11 new murals on April 30th, just this last April. And now we have 32 murals that we've facilitated in Miami, Oklahoma. In 2020, we kicked off the Reno Walls, which currently we've done 2 phases there. We're talking to them about a 3rd phase this year, and we've painted 15 murals there. And what's really cool about their project is that it's funded by El Reno, hint, hint, Oklahoma City. But, you know, it's a very cool project. We turned another alley into a gallery, so it's really cool if you get a chance to make it out there. It's right in the heart of downtown. We also started the With Love project, which is a focus on BIPOC artists to create murals on the east side of Oklahoma City. We've been able to paint 7 murals there. And what's also cool about that project is that it spawned the Juneteenth festival that With Love is currently doing for the 2nd year this year, which is a really big event. That's actually on June 17th and 18th, coming up this weekend, yes. This weekend. So make sure you come out to that. It'll be on 23rd Street, just in between Lottie and Katy, I believe. So the With Love project is awesome. That's another, they're actually probably gonna spin off and become their own nonprofit. So it's really great to see that all unfold. We also kicked off the Sunny Days Mural Festival last year in 2021, which was in the Britton District. We painted 31 murals there. We had a mentor program. And this year, it's on August 6th up in Edmond. That's actually spearheaded by one of our board members, Virginia Seitz. The cool thing about Sunny Days Mural Festival is it's slated to empower, elevate, and celebrate women and non-binary artists. So they have about 40 artists that are all women and non-binary, so that's pretty cool. So since Plaza Walls, the inception, we've been able to create 6 annual mural projects. About 300 murals in total. We're going to hit 400 by the end of the year. We've been able to incorporate over 200 artists, and we've literally put Oklahoma on the map for public art. As you may or may have not seen, last year in 2021, we were curated as one of the top 10 cities by USA Today for street art, and we actually won that vote. So kudos to Oklahoma City for showing up and voting for themselves. But we got #1 for Best City for Street Art, and this year we were nominated again in that top 10. So that vote is actually out there. You can go to USA Today and vote for the Reader's Choice Award for Top City for Street Art. So that's really cool. In total, we've been able to raise about $285,000 for murals, which is an astronomical number, especially for a group of artists that didn't really have 2 dimes to rub together at the beginning of the project. So we're really proud of that, and it's also been a 90% increase since the beginning of the pandemic. So I feel like the pandemic was really an opportunity for us to really focus on grant writing, on sponsorship, recruitment, and we really thrived during the pandemic because it is an outdoor sport. It's something that even during the pandemic, people were still able to come out and participate in. Our annual operating cost for the Plaza Walls is about $130,000, and we are in a little bit of a bind because we're on our 7th year, going into our 8th year, and we still haven't been able to raise enough money to pay staff. So that's one of our goals, and we don't think that the project is sustainable unless we pay staff. So now staff salaries and staff compensation is rolled into our budget, which it probably should have been from the beginning, but our ultimate goal was just to raise enough money to paint the murals. So Dylan and myself have been volunteering for the project now for 7 years, and we're actively working on a way to make it sustainable and pay ourselves for all of our hard work. So you might have seen one of our mural locations in the Plaza Walls was designated to that. So it talked about why am I blank, and due to the lack of funding, we were not able to actually fund that particular mural. It talks about all of our fundraising efforts and kind of some numbers on where we lie with that. So you might ask, why do we do this? If we're not paying ourselves, and we do get a lot of recognition for the work that we do, but ultimately, why do we do it? Well, we do it because it inspires the next generation. We see how many kids come out, and they're so inspired by seeing these large murals. They get inspired in their own lives thinking, wow, someone did something really big. I can probably do the same thing, even if it's with dance, music, or anything that they're trying to put all of their efforts into. When they see us put our efforts all together and create something monumental, it really inspires that next generation to do the same thing. It strengthens our communities, it improves our daily lives, it creates tourist attractions, as you know, and then it generates revenue for local businesses. And since, I see a screen here, since there was the economic impact report came out, and last year, so we crunched some numbers here, and last year our events served roughly about 40,000 people in 2021, and the Oklahomans for Arts impact report stated that the average attendee spends about $39 when they go to an arts-related event. So if we calculate those numbers, we had an economic impact of over $1.5 million last year. So that's a really great thing that we're really proud of. Collectively, last year, we raised about $350,000 for our events, with a total of $104,000 going straight to artists' stipends. So that's a really cool thing. We're really proud of that. We do have sponsorship opportunities. You can go to our website right now. If you know anybody, any company that's a good fit for wanting to appreciate the arts and support the arts, they can go to our website and become a sponsor. We have some upcoming projects. August 6th is the Sunny Days Mural Fest in Edmond, and then October 1st will be the Plaza Walls Mural Expo, which is really exciting because we have 39, maybe about 40 artists that will be participating, and about 30 of them are from out of town. So that's all very exciting. And if you know where we can house all of these artists, please let me know, because that's our current struggle, is finding accommodations. So that's basically it. So thank you, Arts Commission. And if you have any questions, let me know.
Thank you for giving this report to us.
Yeah.
I know that we all value the information that you share. We know the hard work that goes into putting this together to even come and share it with us every year. And we appreciate your commitment to that. Commissioner Cooper?
I remember when you and Dylan made the initial presentation to the Arts Commission down at Will Rogers Park, this new concept that you had about doing these murals. I had actually just returned from a trip to Sao Paulo, Brazil for a Rotary meeting, and saw there mile after mile after mile of mural art throughout that city. And so I didn't have to imagine what something would look like, because I had seen it. And you guys have just done an absolutely phenomenal job of increasing the vibrancy of Oklahoma City and making us, helping see ourselves as a city with art everywhere. And you've just been great in what you've done, and I say kudos to your efforts over these last many years, because the results have just been outstanding.
Thank you, Commissioner Cooper. Appreciate that.
Commissioner Smalling?
It's kind of funny, I'm rarely here and I rarely speak, but I really have enjoyed what you've done, especially in Miami. It's interesting when I go up there and see that space, because the only two new things are what the tribes are doing and what you've created. And that's extraordinary. And I hope that as you look at other places that you explore those relationships with them, when you want to do that, contact me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, I was not on the commission when this project was initiated, but I do remember standing in the alley in the Plaza district, because it was in my ward, trying to imagine what this would turn into.
Yeah.
And it's remarkable. Both of it, Dylan, and just absolutely fantastic what you've been able to accomplish, and to have Oklahoma City recognized as the #1 city for street art is something that I don't think any of us could imagine. So thank you for that, and keep up the campaign with the blank wall. I bet you'll get a lot of attention from it. So.
Thank you. Yes, we have actually received a lot of donations from it. There's a QR code there that you can scan with your phone, and we receive weekly donations from people, so it's great. Thank you.
So I believe that we will be voting to receive this report. Okay. Hearing no further comments or questions, I believe that we should be able to make motions on our PrimGov soon. Who's gonna win? Who's gonna press the button first? I will say that having PrimGov, there's not the kind of celebration when an item passes at the end. I feel like I need to come up with a better way to be like, yay! Because it's just like members of the public don't get to see. It just kind of like clicks up, okay, passes.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Some
kind
confetti cannons,
I know.
maybe,
Randy, what, confetti cannons? Can we get confetti cannons soon? Just like, oh yeah, yes, that's what I need.
Was the question about, can we vote another way? Or,
Oh, no, it was,
or can we add graphics to make it
Can we have
exciting?
confetti cannons in City Hall?
Well, yeah, we'll refer that to the city manager's office and see what answer comes back.
Well, I would like to maybe switch to a verbal Yeah, okay, let's do verbal, and we'll take note of it, and you get old-fashioned voting
Hey, there we
this
go.
way.
That's great.
So, okay. I have a motion from Commissioner Cooper and a second from Commissioner Salyer for receiving this interim report. Hearing no further discussion, we will do a roll call vote. Can you go on? Can you go on? Do you have a microphone? Oh. No, that'd be great.
Yeah, I don't know.
Doing a microphone. So,
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay. DJ Smallings.
yes.
Commissioner Cooper? Yes. Commissioner Chambers?
Yes.
Commissioner Loftus?
Yes.
Commissioner Bailey?
Yes.
Commissioner Kovash?
Yes.
Commissioner Stewart? Commissioner Sawyer? Yes. And, I'm sorry, can't see him. The screen's frozen. Massett? Oh, yes. And Hill? Yes. Sorry. It passes.
This item passes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Moving on to item 3D, discussion and possible action on dedicating a work of public art to honor Robbie Kinsel, word to be determined per this. Randy, can you present this item for us?
Just before we go on to that, I want to thank Chris again for that wonderful presentation. Dylan, nice to have you here. We'll see Chris again, and maybe Dylan too, in September for the official report. And we'll test it ahead of time to be sure that everything works properly before the next time. So thanks, guys, for everything that you do.
Let me ask Steve something.
Let's see if this, okay. Is there any, I thought it was just a problem with Chris's part of the presentation. Do you think that there is
I know
anything
on
that we
this
can do?
computer there's different controls for the screen, so we may be able to minimize the presentation on this computer.
Okay, I think we'll try to go ahead. We had to fix it, I didn't know it, sorry. Okay. So this item is for you to discuss and possibly take action on dedicating a work of public art to honor Robbie Kinsel. And if you remember, those of you that were here for the last meeting, Commissioner Cooper brought this up in the items from commissioners. So Commissioner Cooper, I would like for you to talk about this and talk about your idea and what you have in mind.
Every single person in this body has contributed to public art in Oklahoma City. And all of us who have been a member of over the years have seen what we have, what we've done. It's been remarkable over the years. However, I do not think that there is any single person who has advocated more strongly, more consistently, across the years through various organizations, both as a volunteer and as paid staff, who has had in their heart the promotion of public art in Oklahoma City. No one has done that with a stronger voice than Robbie Kinsel. And because I asked if it would be possible, in light of that, to give some recognition to her for all of her efforts and dedication, because it was not, while we may take it for granted now, how well accepted the public art has been, it was a hard fight, and it was not taken for granted. And there was an incredible amount of work that had to go on, groundwork that had to be laid, organizational documents that had to be created. The work was hugely significant. And underlying all of those activities, sometimes in the background, but always taking a leadership role, was Robbie Kinsel. And I think that she is very deserving of having a recognition in our public art for a piece dedicated in her honor. And so I put forth that, suggested that at our last meeting. And I also had a piece of art in mind, and that is Scissortail Park, which has this huge piece. This is not the original Taking Flight. The original piece called Taking Flight looked like I hesitate to try to characterize it, but it looked like a sphere being launched into space. However, it bore a striking resemblance to a basketball, which the neighbors to the east at Chesapeake had already planned to do a sculpture featuring a basketball, since that is the home of the Oklahoma City Thunder. And it was decided that the artists who had come up with the original concept of Taking Flight should be given the opportunity to redesign the piece to create something else. And this is, after a very arduous process, this Taking Flight, this feather, is what they came up with. And I think that the overall, because we haven't seen it yet, the concept has been very well received. And I know that it was a labor of love, and it is a focal point for the Scissortail Park. And it seemed like it would be, and it is not dedicated to something else. It is has not been set aside for recognition for another purpose.
That's correct.
And under the circumstances, I thought it might, in my opinion, of course, this is a public body, everybody's entitled to their input on it, but it was, I thought it might be a nice piece of public art to consider.
And I'll mention that we have talked to Studio KCA, that's Jason Klamoski and Leslie Chang, and they said that when I posed the question, they said yes, of course, they would gladly support that. And also, the idea has been vetted by the city manager's office, by our assistant city manager, and so we see there's no reason why it shouldn't be. As a matter of fact, there's enthusiastic support for the idea. And I'll just note that the Office of Arts and Cultural Affairs, the 10-year anniversary of the establishment in the office is just a few weeks away. So this is a very appropriate time to be thinking back to the time that Robbie took this tremendous job and did a tremendous job with it.
Question?
Question, comment, yes, Commissioner Smalling.
So I think it's pretty interesting right now that we have the opportunity to start using people's actual anecdotes and actual statements, using the links, using QR codes and others. I would also pose that in doing a physical kind of commemoration to her, it'd be kind of interesting that if one wanted to do a QR code that links to actually her voice, just describing her involvement, so that it would lead in a new way of showing her earnest, that people can hear from her voice why it's important, that we recognize her that way.
Thank you. Yes, Commissioner Loftus.
Randy, we say that she's been doing this for 10 years.
Well,
It seems a lot longer than that to me.
since the establishment of the office with Robbie as arts liaison. But she was actually a consultant to MAPS, the art consultant to MAPS before that. And of course, she had, early in her career, she was at the Arts Council. So she's had a long history of art involvement in Oklahoma City.
But it's only been 10 years in the Office of Arts and Cultural Affairs, is that correct?
Yes.
Gosh, it seems longer than that to me. That's all I got.
Questions, comments from commissioners?
And Jim, in a way, it seems almost amazing that we actually got that office. You know, it was one of many recommendations that I think were made in a cultural plan 10 or 11 years ago, and it may have been the only thing, but certainly the first thing that was adopted. And without even a second thought, there was suddenly this office, and it's made all the difference in the world in the city's focus on public art.
Well, and I do this not to diminish the myriad contributions of so many people and our city councils over the years. The support has been tremendous. But when you, and at the outset, it seemed like a real battle to bring public art to the level of support that it enjoys now. And there's some of it that probably people take for granted. But there are several of us currently on the commission who were here a number of years ago, who, when it was not taken for granted, with every single allocation that had anything to do with public art was a bit of a battle, and we took nothing for granted with regards to support. But the critical, when you are advocating so with so much heart for things that are important to you, you reach a kind of a critical mass in leadership that actually helps project you forward. And that is the leadership that Robbie provided. And would it have happened without her? Maybe, but very likely not. Not when it did. She is the one who helped carry it forward, who launched us all into being supporters of a really viable, exciting, vibrant arts community with many, many voices supporting it. And well, I'm repeating myself. I think I've made my point.
We're lucky that we see really broad, it's more than bipartisan, it's across the board support for art in Oklahoma City. And Robbie's ability to bring disparate people together and talk and work through a problem has been absolutely essential to that happening. So we're seeing now, we're seeing the fruit of those years of work that she's done, and looking forward to that continuing on into the future.
Hearing the support for this, there should be a motion and a second on your screen. Yes, Commissioner Kovash made the motion and a second from Commissioner Hill, and we can now vote on this. Of course, no surprise here, this motion passes. So, yes,
Yes, confetti cannons.
Thank you. Item 3E, selection procedures, discussion, and possible action, and this applies to all wards. Randy, can you present this item?
Sure. Be happy to. So, this particular issue came up also from a recommendation from a commissioner. In this case, it was Commissioner Salyer, who had just sat through, actually it was during a selection meeting when Commissioner Salyer brought up the question after the committee had looked at a number of entries that seemed to be irrelevant to what had been called for in the RFQ for that particular project. And I'll just show you briefly, this is a list of 39 artists and artist teams that were on that. I'm not going to belabor that, but just to show you that that was what we were looking at. And we're looking at 8 images and listening to information about each one of those. So the question came up, is it absolutely necessary for us to go, for the selection committee to go into detail on every one of the entries? We'll have projects coming up soon where we'll have 120 entries easily because of the international implications of those particular projects. So Commissioner Salyer brought up the question. I said this is a matter that we need to talk about and perhaps come up with a way that we don't have to, and yet gives full consideration to the time that every artist spent in sending it to us. But what we see is that sometimes artists, they have a boilerplate that response that they send that doesn't necessarily follow what the RFQ calls for. And then there are others that intend well, but it's obvious that they can't show a demonstrated ability to perform at the level that we're requiring. So the idea is that there would be a vetting that could potentially be composed of a member of staff, which would be arts liaison or the public art project manager, or potentially both, the arts commissioner and the paid professional art consultant to carefully consider every one of the responses to the RFQs that come in, and then make a report to the committee so that the committee time is much more focused on the selection of the artists that eventually will be chosen, rather than needing to wade through others that can be dealt with and looked at thoughtfully in another way. So that is the general idea, and I throw it open for discussion.
Can you remind me, was this discussion started at the April meeting and we lost quorum? Is that correct?
That
I
is
just want to
correct.
refresh everyone's memory.
Right.
I believe we began discussing this, but did not have a chance to thoroughly discuss
I
it.
remember Commissioner Moissant made a comment.
Of the best. Otherwise, you're going to burn us out. Sorry.
Any comments or discussion from commissioners? Yes, Commissioner Kovash.
Excuse me. Again, it's an excellent idea, and I'll help.
Thank you. We know everybody's time is valuable, and we're asking citizens and usually, like on a parks project, there's always a representative from the Parks Department there. Everybody's time is valuable, and so this is an attempt also to make sure that everybody's time is well spent. We have a lot of projects coming up in the next few years, and we want people, those volunteers, to keep on volunteering.
Well, Randy, I thought you did a really nice introduction of the idea. And, you know, we're also appreciative of every artist that takes the time to submit to us. But it does become clear when you serve on several of these committees that there's a group that just doesn't really fit. And, you know, my thinking was that maybe we could have somebody quickly review those and then move on, you know, as has been said, to the ones that really seem to suit the project and allow us more time to really deliberate about those. So I hope we can work on a process that would help us be fair to every submittal, but also respect the selection committee's time.
And the staff recommendation is that whatever the commission decides, we have a trial period of 6 months, and then our office will come back and make a report on how that has gone, take questions and respond to those, and then it would become, based on your recommendation, it would become permanent after that.
So we already have a motion from Commissioner Chambers and a second from Commissioner Cooper. And you can now vote on your screen for recommending this policy decision. Is this a policy?
This is actually,
Procedure?
it's practice and procedure more than it
Practice
is
and
policy.
procedure.
Yes.
And that passes. Thank you for working on this, Randy, and for finding ways to best use time on these selection committees so that we can continue to get people to say yes to serving on them. Yes, Commissioner Smalling?
I'm just saying, I'm thinking with our composition of different artists, and this is for another issue, another time, but we have yet to really mobilize for those Native artists that are here the power of that Indian Arts and Crafts Act. There's a logo, it's a federal level logo, that if we put those on, it elevates any art into a protection that's federal, and it's very prominent, and it's something that with both the murals but others, it is a way for those who follow Native American art. It's an additional kind of like highlight of authenticity or verification of its pro forma. And however that works, going to be very happy to talk about that with either Randy or whomever.
I would love to hear a small presentation about it to the commission. I'm not familiar with it, and maybe other people are, but I'm not, and so I would love to hear more information.
It's a 1995. It's the Indian Arts and Crafts Act, Indian Arts and Crafts Act, and what it was designed that really out of the West in Santa Fe, where you had a lot of copies of things popping up that were of low quality. The federal government passed this. It's the only one of its kind. I mean, for those who would say, well, this is a Choctaw or this is a Kaw or whatever Native American piece of artwork, and it is in fact not. It begins at a $250,000 fine. But what it does for those who are collectors of a particular type of artist, those who are following it, it is a way of a stamp and a seal of approval of saying it's of this level, it's of this quality. So for instance, I just did the very first slot game, which is odd, the very first Native American slot game, given our casinos. And because it was original art, we could put that on it, which is really kind of funny that on the screen it's there, but we're like, we can because it is. And so I think this would help because of the composition of our artwork. It's a further thing that we can do as a city because the city really is becoming the capital of Indian country, that it kind of puts that stamp. But it also tells Indian country that we understand these things, or we're trying to understand. So I'll be happy to help you do that.
Okay.
Sounds interesting.
Commissioner Smalling, I'll send you an email and let's find a time that works for you with your schedule, and let's talk about that, and you can give me some research points also. Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 4, discussion and action on reports from committees. We'll start with the Commission Advocate Report. Commissioner Salliard?
Thank you so much. I'll be brief, but wow, what a weekend in Oklahoma City. There were movies everywhere. I want to congratulate the Dead Center crew for pulling off another amazing weekend. And I think to see how this festival has grown over time. I spent Saturday out at First Americans Museum watching indigenous shorts and a couple of other native produced films that were just fantastic. We were at the Oklahoma City Museum of Art, we were at Rodeo Cinema, we were at Harkins, of course, and events all over town. It's a wonderful, just really wonderful recognition of the art of film in our community, and I think it went extremely well this year. So kudos to the team.
Thank you. Arts and Culture Building Trust, Commissioner Chambers.
You have prepared a draft survey that I believe we will continue gathering more information from the stellar committee that we've put together of various areas of expertise and experience, and we'll have more to report soon.
Yeah, and I think that will be the last item from the task force. So hopefully following that, we'll have a report to bring back to the commission. So
it sure is exciting as the old police headquarters is coming down to see the way that building is more and more apparent, and what an interesting juxtaposition to the rest of the campus it really is.
Agree. Item 5, staff report.
So I know that you received multiple emails about this meeting, and some of them were confusing that had to do with the transition of our admin assistants. I was part of that. There were certain things that Mark can only do and undo. That's been taken care of. Sorry for any confusion in that. But we have a general question about how much you would like to be contacted and reminded about commission. So Robin and I have discussed this, and we want to hit that sweet spot, whatever that is, just enough so that you have it front and center, and not only on your calendar, but on your mental calendar to come to the meetings. Are we doing too much? Are we doing too little? Would you like to get more emails from you? Is there any discussion about that?
I appreciated the reminders because I know it fell outside the normal calendar, and I'd rather have one too many reminders than not enough and go, oh my gosh, forgot. So I definitely appreciated having it. I understand sometimes that the requirements that the city has for posting and then canceling and all that can lead to language that can be confusing. But I appreciated the notices.
Commissioner Loftus, I believe you had feedback.
Yes, I would hope we could keep the number of notifications somewhere between where my cardiologist notifies me and my dentist notifies me, my ophthalmologist notifies me, my drug sources notify me. I meant that by Nichols Hills Drugs, what I was trying to say. But I think there's a fine line between proper notification and too much. So. Yeah, right.
Okay, I think that was a good closure to the feedback.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll move on then. One of the ways in which you can exercise your voice and make your voice heard very, very directly, maybe the most significant way, is serving on a selection committee. And we have multiple selection committees coming up. Not only do we have our arts office art program, the Strong Neighborhood Initiative, what they're finding is that every neighborhood that they deal with wants public art. Those are not 1% funds, those are federal funds that come from community development block grants. But we follow the same procedure. We recommend that commissioners sit on those selection committees. Now, as of today, we've picked up something, a series of projects that was not only was dear to our department generally, but to Susan Atkinson in particular. And she and Robbie have worked together very closely on art in streetscape projects. You remember that streets and sidewalks are exempt from the 1% for art. But because you guys have created such a demand for art in the city, the commercial districts and the neighborhoods are consistently asking for art to be included in streetscape projects. So my colleague Donna Cervantes is here today. She works directly, primarily with the commercial districts. And so I wanted Donna to be able to be here today and to see that I want to come to you and talk to you about this. First of all, to inform you that this is going on. So there's going to be yet more art projects outside of the 1%. But we may do a modified selection procedure on this that will not necessarily, in every instance, require an arts commissioner. All of those projects do come to you, though. If they're art projects, they do come to you for the final vetting. So they do come before a public forum. Part of the reason is, don't want to overwork you. I don't want to ask you again and again to serve on multiple selection committees. I know a lot of you have gone above and beyond the number that you would reasonably be required to do. Thank you very much. But anyway, I don't have a good concluding statement here, other than I want you to be aware of these things, to thank you for your participation in selection committees, and there's going to be many more coming up, and we may have discussions about potentially about deputizing some other people when commissioners just really are not available. But that will be a final discussion for another day.
Any items from commission members? Yes, Commissioner Loftus.
I'm wondering if our mayor's assistant could advise us on whether or not there could be some money somewhere, some way to help these guys out with what they're doing back here.
Well, certainly something I can look at and see what's available.
That seems like a satisfying answer. Thank you. Any other items from commission members? Yes, Commissioner Cooper?
Can we talk about things going on in the community?
Yeah, you can talk about
Well,
anything.
It may be
within
summertime.
limits. Within limits.
It may be summertime, but boy, there are so many arts things going on in Oklahoma City here the next couple weeks. The Oklahoma City Museum of Art, which is celebrating 20 years downtown, and they have reinstalled the Chihuly exhibit. So it's going to be all freshened up. It opens to the public this Saturday, and it is going to be just fantastic. And one of the things I would like to highly recommend, you may recall that there's a Chihuly ceiling, and it's nice to stand there and look at it, but the very best way to look at the Chihuly ceiling is to get down on the floor and lie down and look at it in its grandeur. And now it is in a square shape rather than in a long, like a hallway shape, which would be ideal for like a whole classroom of children to be on the ground looking up at this thing. Now, I will have to caveat, I did this a couple years ago. I got down on the floor. Make sure you have someone to help you get up if you do it. But it's a wonderful way to look at a beautiful glass installation. It's real fresh. If you've seen it saying, oh, I've seen the Chihuly, go back. There are new elements to it. It's reinstalled. It flows from installation to installation. It's great. So please take the time to go see the new Chihuly exhibit. It is fantastic. Also, Lyric Theater is getting ready to open up their summer season, I think, next week with their first play of the summer series. I know that the Cowboy and Western Heritage, National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum is having their Pre to West exhibit this weekend for the sale. And so there's all sorts of fabulous Western art that will be there. You should go check that out. And the arts are really alive and well in Oklahoma City right now. Go see it.
Thank you so much. Any public comments? Hearing none, I will remind everyone that our next meeting is July 18th, 2022, and that will be held here in person in the City Council chambers. And I adjourn.